Welcome to the HFY Tales channel. Remember to like and subscribe if you like the story. Enjoy and take care. The sun dipped low in the sky over the small town of Dusty Springs, casting long shadows against the vibrant neon signs of the local saloon. It was a curious blend of old-fashioned Western charm and futuristic tech, holograms flickering alongside wooden storefronts and hover horses grazing in the field behind the saloon. The energy crackled in the air as the townsfolk settled into the delightful chaos of a Friday night, ready for a display of skills and playful rivalry. In the midst of it all, a tall, confident woman strode through the saloon doors. She was unmistakably the cowgirl. Her trademark hat tilted slightly to the side, framing a face that radiated charisma, and her outfit shone with tech-infused embellishments that twinkled like stars against the dim light. She caught the eye of every passer-by, from flustered ranch hands to curious tourists. But what they didn't know was that her alluring presence hid a cheeky streak, one that often manifested in spirited challenges and humorous encounters. "Name's Jessie, and I'm here to show y'all who's the best rider this side of the Milky Way," she declared, her voice ringing out over the chatter, commanding attention. Laughter bubbled among the crowd, and a few heartbeats quickened in her presence. Across the room, under the dim glow of an overhead light, sat Jake, the local human cowboy. He was ruggedly handsome, with a weathered hat that framed his sun-kissed features. Leaning back in his chair, he sipped on a cold drink while surveying the room, until his eyes landed on Jessie. She lit up the place like a fire in a dark cave, and the attention didn't sit well with him. He wasn't one to back down from a challenge, especially from a brash personality like hers. "It ain't about the flash, it's about the skills," he muttered to himself, downing his drink and setting it on the bar with a soft clink. Jessie, overhearing him, strutted up to Jake with a playful smirk. "Skills, huh? Is that what you think? How about a little competition, cowboy?" Jake raised an eyebrow, intrigued yet cautious. "What do you have in mind?" "A race on hover horses," she proposed, leaning in with a mischievous glint in her eye. "Winner gets bragging rights and concocts an embarrassing dare for the loser." Jake leaned in, his grin widening with excitement. "You're on. Just know, I'll take that dare seriously, no holding back." As they shook hands, an electric tension zapped between them, sending goosebumps coursing down Jessie's arms. "Just so you know, I can ride you hard like a cowgirl if I need to," she teased, her words hanging in the air, flirty and provocative. They could almost hear the town of Dusty Springs whispering, witnessing the dawn of a lively rivalry set to light the skies of the future. The day of the hover horse race arrived in full glory, with the sun shining bright over Dusty Springs. The streets were abuzz with excitement, as a small crowd gathered near the start line, eager to witness the spectacle that Jessie and Jake had promised. Hover horses, sleek and shiny, hovered just above the ground, their mechanical legs moving in anticipation, echoing with quiet whirs and beeps. Jessie, wearing a fitted riding suit that accentuated her figure and exuded confidence, prepared her horse, a shimmering silver steed named Starfire that whinnied enthusiastically. Jake, on the other side, adjusted his grip on the reins of his dark stallion, Thunder. "Hope you're ready to eat my dust, Jessie," he called out, a teasing smile dancing on his lips. Jessie smirked back, her eyes glinting playfully. "Not if you can't keep up with me, cowboy. And remember, if I win, I'm definitely riding you hard for that dare." Her voice was teasing, yet filled with a hint of genuine challenge. The banter flowed effortlessly, a build-up of excitement palpable in the air. As the race was set to start, the crowd cheered wildly, a couple of teenagers waving large foam fingers, eagerly chanting their support for their favorite riders. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation, and Jessie felt a rush of adrenaline surge through her veins. This was her moment to shine. "On your marks," said the announcer, his voice echoing over the makeshift loudspeakers. "Get set." Jessie glanced at Jake, whose competitive spirit shone bright behind his confident facade. "May the best rider win," she shouted, her spirit infectious, making the crowd roar with approval. "Count on it," he replied, eyes narrowing in focus, determination radiating from him. "Go." The starter gun fired, and they were off. Both riders took off, leaving trails of dust swirling in their wake. Jessie surged ahead, her heart racing with the thrill of the chase, wind rushing through her hair and exhilaration bubbling inside her, but Jake was right behind her, a determined glint capturing his features, refusing to let her outshine him so easily. As they rounded the first bend, Jessie darted sideways, losing Jake just a bit as she skillfully maneuvered Starfire. The crowd cheered louder, calling out her name, urging her to maintain her lead. Yet Jake wasn't about to let her outpace him that easily. "Nice moves, Jessie. You sure you can handle the pressure?" he taunted, catching up as they spiraled into a nearby canyon, momentum propelling them forward. "Oh, you'll see just how well I can handle pressure," she retorted, sending her hover horse into a dazzling display of speed, the wind whipping past them in a thrilling rush. But amidst the playful banter, the race became an unintentional exploration of their personalities. They weaved through canyons, over electronic billboards showing advertisements for the latest tech gear, and even made a humorous detour through a retro diner, where the owner shouted playful challenges that only fueled their competitive spirits. "You owe me a slice of pie after this," Jessie yelled, her laughter mingling with the thrill of the wind against her face as they flew past the snack shack. "Only if you can finish in under a minute," Jake shot back, determination lighting up his handsome features. The banter underscored their competitive nature, both racing not just for victory, but for a deeper connection. As they approached the finish line, neck and neck, the tension in the air thickened. Jessie turned her horse sharply to slide ahead, only to be met with Jake's intentional block, forcing them both to slow, or was it? With last-minute determination, they pushed their hover horses to the maximum. An exhilarating rush surged through Jessie as she caught a glimpse of the finish line, only a few yards away. In that heartbeat of a moment, their eyes locked, and something new sparked between them, a chemistry that was impossible to ignore, a flicker of vulnerability mixing with their competitive spirit. "Come on, Jessie," Jake called out, his voice cutting through the excitement. "Let's finish this challenge together." With a final surge, they both barreled past, a blur of colors streaking past the finish line simultaneously, resulting in an eruption of cheers from the crowd that echoed through the canyon. Both riders skidded to a halt, breathless and exhilarated. Jessie looked at Jake, her heart racing not just from the competition, but from the undeniable chemistry that crackled between them. "Looks like we need a tiebreaker," she panted, a wide grin blossoming on her face. "Yeah, but what should it be?" Jake asked, wiping sweat from his brow, freshly aware of the closeness they had just shared. Jessie, her cheeks flushed both from the race and the laughter, leaned closer, her tone teasing but sincere. "Loser has to reveal their most embarrassing moment," Jake chuckled, his eyes sparkling with anticipation. "All right, I lose, but only because you're too good to resist," he said with a laugh, feigning defeat. The atmosphere was buzzing with energy as the crowd gathered around them, eager to hear about the impending dares. Both Jessie and Jake stood among their friends, lingering tension mixing with playful competitive spirit that crackled in the air. But there was a flicker of something deeper brewing beneath, an unspoken connection ready to unravel. The sun set brilliantly over Dusty Springs, painting the sky with vibrant hues of orange and pink. Lanterns flickered to life around most of the town, setting the perfect backdrop for Jessie and Jake's outdoor celebration following their electrifying hover horse race. The friends gathered around a bonfire crackling in the center, the air filled with playful shouts, laughter, and the sweet scent of s'mores roasting beside it. Okay, it's time for the tiebreaker dare," one friend shouted, leaning in closer with wide eyes, anticipation spilling over like melted chocolate from a fresh s'more. Jessie turned to Jake, both excitement and mischief glimmering in her gaze. "Well, I won fair and square. You go first." Jake laughed softly, rubbing the back of his neck, exposing the charm of his boyish smile. All right, I lose, but only because you're too good to resist," he said with a chuckle, his eyes dancing with mirth as the crowd leaned in. The moment felt electric as curiosity hung in the air. "Spill the beans, Cowboy," Jessie demanded, tilting her head, her playful demeanor capturing everyone's attention. "All right, my most embarrassing moment," he began, feeling the heat in his cheeks rise as he recalled the memory. "It was at the county fair last year. I thought I'd impress this girl by riding the mechanical bull." The crowd erupted in laughter, and Jesse leaned forward, genuinely intrigued. "Go on. I can't believe you'd try to impress anyone on a bull." Jake's laughter mingled with the group. "Well, long story short, after a few seconds, I flew off and landed smack dab into a dunk tank. The girl I was trying to impress, she laughed so hard she nearly fell off her chair." The group roared with laughter as Jessie wiped a tear from her eye. "That's pretty bad. Consider my competitive edge on." "All right, Jess, your turn. What's the most embarrassing thing you've done?" Jake prompted. A playful grin plastered on his face as he leaned forward, anticipation alight in his eyes. Jessie hesitated for a moment, her heart racing, not from fear of judgment, but from the blossoming connection with Jake in front of her. "Okay, prepare yourselves," she began, falling into the playful rhythm of the moment. "During a rodeo when I was a kid, I was so eager to prove myself that I wore the biggest, most ridiculous hat, one that could fit a family of 5 under it for sure." She gestured humorously to an imaginary oversized hat, her expression bursting with laughter as the group gasped. "It flopped over my face and I couldn't see a thing. I ended up riding a steer with that thing on. I nearly fell off as it swung me around like a rag doll." "Wow, I can't even imagine. That's epic," Jake said, his eyes sparkling with admiration. Just as they continued their banter, a sudden gust of wind picked up, rustling through the trees and causing the lanterns to sway and flicker. It brought a moment of shared quiet between them, both catching each other's gaze. A shimmer of something unspoken lingered there, thickening the air around them with palpable tension. The cheerful chatter resumed, temporarily grounding the playful banter. As the evening continued, the group began playing various games, a delightful mix of traditional cowboy challenges and futuristic tech challenges, interspersed with ridiculous dares that kept the humor flowing. Jesse had an idea for a fun activity they could do together, one that involved not just skill but trust, a mechanical bull challenge. "Let's have another contest, but this time it's on the bull. Last one standing gets to choose our next activity," Jessie exclaimed, her competitive spirit bubbling up again, eyes sparkling with a hint of mischief. Jake grinned, totally on board. "You're on. Just don't cry when I win." As they mounted the bull, the tension shifted from the comical to something more serious, each of them consciously aware of the thrill of the activity, yes, but also of the warmth and excitement woven into their competition. The crowd gathered to cheer them on, excitement palpable in the air, and as the bull began to toss and turn, Jessie's competitive streak kicked in. Roping her legs tightly around the mechanical bull, she held on firmly while the adrenaline coursed through her veins. "Hold on tight, Jessie," Jake shouted, laughter filling the air, yet now mixed with admiration for her competitive nature as he fought to hold his balance. Just as he leaned in closer, Jessie squealed with excitement, the exhilaration pulling them into an embrace that felt unusually intimate. They both fell off, a tangle of limbs and laughter, landing in a heap of giggles that felt like more than sheer fun. Grinding back to their feet, warmth flushed through both of them as Jake brushed the dust off Jessie's shirt, their eyes locking again for that split second, igniting a deeper understanding. "Okay, this is getting serious," Jake murmured breathlessly, stepping a bit closer. "What happens next?" Jessie felt a heat rise in her cheeks. Was it from the thrill of competition or something deeper? "Well, you know what they say. The best part of losing is getting to pick the next dare. How about a dance?" Jake was taken aback, both startled and amused. "A dance? Here?" "Of course, right around the bonfire. It'll be epic." Jessie laughed lightly, her eyes twinkling as she grabbed his hand. As they joined the crowd, dancing around the flickering flames, Jessie and Jake reveled in the moment, sharing carefree laughs and flirty jokes, a growing intimacy swirling around them with every shared glance and playful twirl. It was almost as if the world outside their bubble faded away the moment she felt his hand on her waist. The lively bonfire continued to sparkle and crackle as the laughter of the friends faded into comfortable chatter. The vibrant hues of sunset turned into deep twilight, stars sparkling like scattered diamonds over the town of Dusty Springs. But as they danced and laughed, an undercurrent of tension began to build, lingering just below the surface, waiting for the right moment to explode. Jessie enjoyed their playful banter, but there lingered a feeling of uncertainty, a fear of crossing from playful competitors to something more profound. Then came a newcomer, a tall figure striding confidently into the party, and Jessie's heart sank. It was Lucas, Jake's ex-girlfriend, a woman with a striking presence and an energy that left an imprint on his past. "Jake, there you are." Lucas sauntered over, her gaze carrying a beautiful, almost predatory confidence that made Jessie's stomach twist. The palpable tension prickled as it became evident to everyone present. Jessie observed as Lucas draped her arm around Jake casually, the spell-breaking moment causing her heart to clench painfully. "I heard you had a race today. How'd it go?" Well, Jessie and I both kind of tied," Jake replied, flashing an awkward smile at Jessie, who stood frozen, trying to maintain her composure, the warmth of the dance fading amidst uncertainty. Of course, he had to mention her. Jessie forced a smile, feeling a sudden chill wash over her enthusiasm, particularly as Lucas gave her a self-satisfied grin. "Sweet. You know, I could have been there to watch you, Jake," Lucas gushed, leaning closer as though claiming him back with her nearness effortlessly, highlighting the connection they once shared. "Guess we'll just have to keep things competitive," Jessie interjected, attempting to keep her cool but feeling the tension mount. "You know how it goes in the Wild West. Nothing's settled until you go for a rematch." As she spoke, Lucas's gaze flickered towards her, the challenge subtly resurrected. Is that so? Well, just so you know, Jake and I used to do everything together. We were quite the unbeatable duo." Jessie's heart sank a little more. "Right, well, sounds like you two had a thrilling time," she said, wrestling to maintain her neutral tone. "But I think he and I make a pretty good pair, too." The challenge hung heavy in the air. Just as she threw her words back, she could see Jake's eyes widen in surprise. He clearly hadn't anticipated the sudden shift in tension. "Jessie," Jake started, trying to step between them, but Jessie cut him off with rising frustration. "Right, or what? You're going to defend her honor?" Lucas cut in, throwing a playful jab. "Or maybe you'd rather be the one to pick a side?" "Hey, easy," Jake replied, his voice rising with concern, unsure where the conflict centered anymore. But Jessie felt herself spiraling. Amid the laughter around her, she felt isolated. Her legs felt heavy, the air thickening around her as she attempted to navigate the whirlwind of emotion inside her. "You know what?" she bolted out, frustration breaching a threshold. "If I'm not worthy of being here and the champion of this town is someone from the past, maybe I should just—" "Jessie, wait!" Jake stepped forward, barely managing to catch her arm. "It's not about that. You know I'm just getting to know you too." Tearfully frustrated, Jessie pulled back. "Listen, you don't have to say anything to make it better, Jake. I get it. Even if we were friends, there are things you two clearly shared." Suddenly, Lucas smirked, observing their interaction with keen amusement within the group of friends. "Looks like someone's making the wrong choices," Lucas crooned, a victorious flicker in her gaze, almost relishing the tension she had stirred. "Back off," Jake warned, turning quickly to defend Jessie. He turned to Jessie while trying to figure out how to mend the unintentional rift. "Jessie, don't let it end here. It was just playful competition." As Jessie backed away, hurt visible in her eyes, laughter and shouts echoed around her, yet she felt the urge to run from the scene. With every step she took, she felt lighter, but the ache of uncertainty clung tightly to her heart. The next day, Dusty Springs lingered with a somber aftertaste from the previous night. Jessie needed some air, a break from the heat of competition, met with feelings rising higher than mere attraction. With her hover horse and a sense of adventure, she rode out alone across the wide-open spaces of the Wild West, desperate to escape the reminders of Jake and Lucas's overwhelming presence. The landscape stretched around her, a beautiful but isolating blend of rugged desert terrain and outcroppings of colorful grasses. She began to find solace in the quiet, the cool wind rushing past her as she journeyed farther from town, attempting to sort out the tumultuous emotions swirling inside. But as the sun began to lower and she thought of returning, she spotted Jake in the distance, attempting to tame wild hover horses not far from where she was. Intrigued, drawn by a mix of wonder and unresolved feelings, she drew closer, hidden behind a rocky stash where she could remain unseen. Her heart raced, not just from the thrill, but from the memories that flooded back. Jake had his back turned as he worked with natural grace, mesmerizing as he coaxed the horses effortlessly. Watching him, she heard her doubts fading, replaced by an undeniable attraction that resonated deep within her. "I figured you would run away," Jake chuckled suddenly, catching her off guard as if he sensed her presence, turning his head slightly as he caught her eye. Jessie froze, half exposed, but unwilling to retreat. "Just enjoying the view," Jessie deflected, warmth creeping up her cheeks, a smile threatening to break her cool facade. With a quick laugh, Jake strode closer, breaking the space between them. "What's the point of watching when you could join me? It might be better than sulking about." Jessie stepped out, heart pounding. "I didn't want to interrupt your show. It looks like you have everything under control," she replied with a hint of sarcasm, but there was a genuine spark of connection in her words. "Oh, are you afraid you might lose again?" he teased lightly, but when he caught her gaze, realizing how serious it sounded, he added, "Really, Jessie, I've never met someone like you before." As he spoke, Jessie felt herself drawn in, their moment electric and filled with honest emotion. "Do you really mean that?" she whispered, vulnerability edging through her tough exterior, her defenses slowly crumbling in the face of sincerity. He stepped closer, their faces mere inches apart, a mixture of raw emotions igniting in the air around them. "Jessie, I've never felt this way with anyone else. I thought we were building something special." And with that invitation, the unsaid words hung heavy in the air, as her body instinctively leaned towards his. "I don't know if I can trust my instincts, Jake," she replied softly, her heart racing with hope and uncertainty. A flicker of earnestness crossed his gaze. "Then let's make a deal." He took a deep, shaky breath. "One more challenge. If you win, I'll prove I'm all in, just you and me. If I win—" Jessie interrupted, feeling the familiar rush of the competition call to her. "If you win, what do you want?" Jake leaned in, eyes darkening with playful mischief. "You'll have to face your fears and join me on an adventure. Whether it's dancing under the stars or anything else you might get cold feet about." A challenge, just what she loved. Jessie perked up, feeling a surge of anticipation. "All right, but what will we compete on?" "Horses, just like before, but this time we'll race back to town. Winner gets to choose how the evening ends." He grinned widely, eyes twinkling with excitement. "I'm definitely in," she declared with a newfound determination to embrace this moment, pushing aside all doubts. As they prepared for the race, everything else faded, anger, fear, jealousy, all seemed trivial in the face of joyful competition. They hopped onto their hover horses, ready to take off, each of them fueled by a renewed sense of purpose. With a quick countdown, they took off, the wind whipping through their hair, adrenaline coursing through their veins. The town awaited, and anticipation filled their hearts. The outcome was yet uncertain, but both knew deep down there was more at stake than just their pride. A silent pact formed in the air, a commitment that transcended rivalry and dug deeper into the core of desire, connection, and mutual respect. Dusty Springs slowly came into view as they raced closer, the nostalgic lights illuminating the town like a welcoming embrace. Cheering erupted from the gathering crowd, eager to witness the reimagined duel between Jessie and Jake. Side by side, Jessie felt her heart race not just from the thrill of riding. As they sped towards the finish line, bearing their pasts and vulnerabilities, their deepening connection surged forth, echoing through their hearts. With a final leap, both hovered to the finish simultaneously, resulting in an eruption of cheers from the crowd that echoed through the canyon's embrace. The crowd erupted into cheers, excitement spilling over as each rider skidded to a halt, breathless and exhilarated. Jessie looked at Jake, her expression shifting from competitive to something softer, more heartfelt, her heart racing not just from the race, but from the undeniable chemistry that crackled between them. "Looks like we need a tiebreaker," she panted, a wide grin blossoming on her face. "Yeah, but what should it be?" Jake asked, a charming light dancing in his eyes as he leaned closer, suddenly mindful of the moment they shared. Jessie, her cheeks flushed both from victory and the closeness, leaned in closer, her tone teasing yet sincere. Loser has to reveal their most embarrassing moment, and I get to pick the next adventure. Plus, if I win, I want to explore that ride I promised on the way home." Jake chuckled, his expression now serious, filled with a mixture of playful mischief, yet genuine admiration for her spirit. "All right, I lose. But only because you're too mesmerizing to resist," he said as he finally drew her in with sincerity, excitement swirling in the air around them. As the celebration continued throughout the night, Jesse and Jake found themselves dancing again, this time entwined in a rhythm that felt natural and free. His hand found the small of her back as she leaned closer, laughter spilling from their lips as they spun around under the twinkling stars. Amid the joy of the race and the revelry of their friends, Jessie felt a spark of courage building within her. She gazed into Jake's eyes, feeling as if the world melted away around them. "Let's make a promise," she murmured, leaning closer. "What kind of promise?" he asked, his voice low, inviting, the chemistry. "An adventure, a real one," she declared, her voice steady. "No more rivalries, only us. Let's explore whatever's next together." Jake smiled broadly, his heart soaring with her words. The murmurs around them faded as he took a step closer. "Deal, anything for you, Jessie." The promise hung in the air, genuine and filled with potential. In the heart of the Wild West, under the shimmering stars, Jessie and Jake began their journey hand in hand, striding forward into vast possibilities, determined to create their own story. Their laughter dissolved into the joyful sounds of Dusty Springs, and they became entwined in a bond that was woven with playful competition, love, laughter, and everything that felt like home. Together they ventured forth, forging memories side by side, an adventure that promised to lead them far beyond mere rivalry, into each other's hearts and futures, with each step unveiling the magic waiting ahead.